Hi, welcome to Girlfriends of a Certain Age, a podcast for women in midlife. We are busy living our best lives. I'm your co host, Flesché Hesh. I'm a business coach and work life balance expert for women.
And I'm your co host, Jessica Neighbor. I'm a voice coach for vocalists and public speakers online at Impact Vocal Coaching. We are girlfriends in real life, and in every episode, we'll discuss a different hot topic about becoming wise women, recovering from being a good girl, and not giving a bleep anymore.
If you identify as a girlfriend of any age and you want to join our conversation, join us on Instagram, YouTube, and girlfriendsofacertainage.com. Okay, we're live. Good
Woo!
morning.
Hello, lovelies.
It's so good to be back. I'm just loving our Monday morning sessions with each other. And so welcome back everybody to Girlfriends of a Certain Age. And today we're doing our wrap up of season 1, y'all. 13 episodes of girlfriend chats, of going there, of not giving a shit, and just our friendship just like moving to the next level. I'm so psyched. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning, Flesché. I agree. It has been delightful, and it's so fun to take a moment to review all the episodes in season 1, because I think we discovered things that became really hot topics that we didn't even know. So it'll be really fun to review them and see what the feedback was about these episodes, and just kind of sit back and give a little celebration where it's due.
I think we really touched a nerve, that there's something in the culture about being a good girl, a woman. What does that look like? How do we take care of ourselves and still be functioning in the world?
Yeah,
I think that's so much of what we're trying to balance at this time. That's what I see. And what I've
yeah.
seen in the comments and the feedback that we've been getting.
hmm hmm
That even people who don't even think of themselves necessarily as, I am a good girl,
Right.
that programming is still there. And
Yes.
they're dealing with the shame and the guilt.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes. And, for allies, men and people who maybe aren't our age or aren't going through this, just to understand what it is that, women are dealing with is so important. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff for everyone.
Yeah, and the gift of just becoming our true selves. So we wanted to celebrate today by going through what the
hmm
season was. Those of you who are finding us later in the game, welcome, welcome,
Yes.
welcome. Maybe we'll give you a little bit of a guidepost of what you can go and find in our previous episodes. So we thought we would wrap that up today with a little celebration and talking about it. So one of the things that I noticed is that people were really excited that we were even launching a podcast. It was actually one of our highest rated or most watched or most listened to. People are finding us on YouTube. They're finding us on Instagram. They're also finding us, of course, through we're everywhere. We're on almost every podcast, every major podcast platform. And so everybody was so curious about checking out our first one, which I loved the idea
Yes.
of. And that launching out part, and it was really fun too to devote an episode to each of us
hmm
for introducing ourselves. What was that
Yeah.
like for you to be introduced on this larger platform?
It was so fun. So I love it because you're referring to episode 1. We have our own podcast for women in midlife, right? Where we were just like, woohoo, having a party. We did it. We got all the buttons working and really started to talk about our intentions for the season. And then it was so fun for us each to be kind of in the hot seat and interview each other. I think you and I both felt like we feel a little more comfortable being the interviewer rather than the interviewee. But episode 1, I got to interview you, and episode 3, you got to interview me. So that was just fun for us to each explore our own journeys to where we are today. And I thought it was really fun. So yeah, if you guys want to know a little more and take a journey with each of us about our personal journeys, you can check that out in the first couple of episodes. And
Absolutely.
then we really went into what I would say is probably the highest rated episode of the season, which is episode 4, Recovering Good Girl, how to be a recovering good girl for women in midlife, which is what we were just talking about with you. But that one was huge. I feel like we got an outpouring of people just saying, oh my gosh, I identify with this so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're bringing this
Absolutely.
to our attention. Mm-hmm.
And that's a two-parter. That was a two-part episode. So the first one, we really walk everyone through what that is. A thing you'll notice about how we work is we want to move you forward. We don't just want to share ideas, but we actually want them to be actionable so that you are living your best life too.
Yeah.
And so in breaking that up into the two-part episode, the first one is talking a lot about what is the cultural good girl expectation. What were we told? And then how did it manifest in our lives? You and I, of course, shared personal stories about that
Mm-hmm.
and of other people that we know and situations. And then in the second part of that, we actually give you a worksheet. Or it's actually a workbook. It's many pages. And we walk you through prompts and questions. Because we're kind of self-helpy that way, we thought we would bring that to life as well. And so if you're interested in that topic, definitely check out both of those episodes to help move yourself forward.
Well, and we created the workbook, right? So that you can get your hands on the workbook if you join the newsletter in the notes, and we'll put them in the notes, or you can go find our podcast and they're in the show notes of episode 5. Then you can really go through that whole worksheet, and it's so
Absolutely.
helpful. It's wonderful. So we walk you through it in the episode, and then you can do it on your own and let us know how it landed for you. Let us know some of the things you discovered, right? Because I'm telling you, that good girl, she's a sneaky one. She can just. It's not like we tell her to sit in her corner. She's everywhere. So it's such a dance, right? It's not like we're kind of like casting her off. It's more like, how does she come up? When does she rear up? When do we feel that? It's just it's an ongoing exploration in our lives, and it's so interesting. So yeah, that was a double hitter. I got some personal texts from friends where they were just like, "Oh my gosh, you guys just totally nailed it."
Yeah, I know the feedback's been really overwhelming. So I know that a lot of people will go back to season one and start fresh, no matter how far we take this. Or obviously, you and I are gearing up for season two already in the
Yes.
new year. So I can't. I feel like I have my seatbelt on. I'm sort of buckled up for this big adventure.
Yeah.
It's just turned out to be so much more than I had even hoped and expected
Yeah.
or dared to dream
Yeah.
that we're really well, A, that we're really doing it, and B, that we're really helping women. We're really helping women.
Right. And that was what was we were hoping it would be. And so that it is just, it energizes us. I feel that. I feel like when we get together every week, it's like it's more about just us. It's not just us kind of like indulging in this girlfriend chat, which is fun and delightful. And I could have left it at that. But by talking about some of these really intense topics, we're opening it up to our listeners. So it like part of the recipe is the community. Like that's always been our intention.
Yes.
So to know that there
Yes.
is a community and to know that they're like benefiting and getting help from it is a win-win. Because
It's amazing.
we're both coaches. We love to do this sort of thing. We love it.
We do. We do. We can't help ourselves.
We live for
So we're
this.
just letting everyone else be a fly on the wall for our conversations.
And you and your fabulous checklist, you're like, I got a checklist for that. I got a checklist for that. I got something for them. I'm like, love you.
I'm a beast at making those. I think,
You are.
everyone, we all have our issues, right? Some people have trouble getting started. Some people have trouble following through. Some people have trouble following up. And for some reason, like when it comes to making content, it's so natural. I don't break a sweat. So everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, right? And so that's just one of my strengths. So how fun to be able to just like throw it up
Yeah.
and have people love it and enjoy it. So I love that. So in episode 6, we went there on friendships in midlife, which I doubt will be a one-time topic. I imagine we'll be doing this more and more layers, peeling the onion, if you will,
Yes.
on this idea of friendship.
Yeah.
And the feedback that I personally have been getting from people is that it made them realize, oh, right, who are my friends right now in my life? And what am I getting from them?
Mm-hmm.
What am I getting from the relationship? And I think one of the gifts of this time in general, where we're after the intensity of the pandemic, it really solidified for us what and who is in our life, where we're living, what we're doing for work, how we carry ourselves. And so this idea of friendship in midlife, this idea that really it's an opportunity to have everything get in order. It's like clean up your house,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
what do we do with the toxic people in our lives? Can we repair it? Can we like put them on the shelf? And who is there for me and who am I there for? So
Hmm.
that's a lot of the feedback I've personally been getting from people, that they've been texting their friends more, reaching out to old friends from high school and reconnecting. I think that it is such a beautiful time to ask those questions.
Yeah, because we really want to honor our friendships. I think in this stage of life, you really start to recognize as you come up for air a little bit from your career and your children, and you're kind of looking at your future, and it's a little more finite. You're just like, who do I want to surround myself with? The pandemic did a number on a lot of friendships, right? In some cases, it just kind of cleaned it all out, cleaned out the friendship cupboard, and so that we can really think about who to invest in. But I feel like more than ever, my friendships are more meaningful. They really matter. And the way we're showing up for each other is now as well, mostly mature adults. And what a great way to like reciprocate. And I remember there was some really fun things we went over in that episode too about when does it feel like a true friendship where there is reciprocity, give and take, and when does it feel like not so much, right? And what do we need to do with those kinds of people? So that was really wonderful to unpack a little bit and to be okay with that. To be like, it's okay, I don't have to be everyone's friend and everyone doesn't need to like me. And really, who do I want to invest in?
Yeah. This next thing I want to say is a little bit tricky. So
Mm,
I'm not saying it to trigger anybody, but statistically, our male spouses, those of us who have those, they don't live as long as men.
mm,
And so oftentimes later in life we see it's just women being there for other women or women being alone and having nobody. And so I think it's very important to put our attention on those of us who have children. God
mhm.
willing, they will grow up, will do a good enough job, they'll grow up, they'll move out and they'll start their own lives. And so I don't think we need to be scrambling at the end of our later in lives or in our final
Mhm.
chapter of life to find those connections, find those people. It can be done,
Yeah,
but how much more meaningful is it to have cultivated a long-term relationship? Because we know it's going to be us sitting on the porch in rocking chairs together, right? Like I
right.
have a fantasy, it'll be you and me hanging out in rocking chairs,
Love
talking
it.
about our kids. But I just think it's important to always be cultivating that, looking around. What are the relationships in our lives, and are we taking good care of them and ourselves in the
That's right.
process? Today's episode is brought to you by the 5 Minute Work Life Balance Digital Workbook. I'll be teaching you the 3 step process to achieving work life balance in your own life. I'm Flesché Hesh, trained as a marriage and family therapist, turned professional business coach and work life balance expert for women. I'm a mom of 2, CEO, published author, and podcaster. I'm going to teach you how to take back your time and your life so you can forget about feeling guilty, overwhelmed, and out of balance. You'll also discover the 9 unexpected strategies for you to achieve work life balance. You can get instant access to the digital workbook, the online course, and access to me, your coach, today for a limited time for $29. The link is below.
All right. So after friendship, we kind of went to another really interesting topic, hair. And you and I both shared our really unique experiences with our hair, right? And really kind of
Yeah.
got down and into it. I mean, about like my journey going gray. I'll just talk for myself and what that felt like to sort of expose the roots, what it feels like on a day to day, how I'm feeling, and that there is a big movement, if you all have noticed, about more women going gray and kind of like aging out loud, and just what an interesting journey it's been. So if you're interested about that subject at all, that was my um, you know part in hair, and it was really fun to talk with you. And then you were sharing some great stuff too, so I'll let you share what you were going through.
Right. Well, and I shared that, for me, I've had a lot of complications. I have a complicated relationship with my hair traditionally. Not now. I don't feel like it's so complicated now. But being biracial, I walk into a hair salon, people are like, oh, your hair's so ethnic. Like I've always been felt quite other around my hair.
Hmm.
So this idea, this topic of like to go gray or not go gray, oh, that's a whole other new thing layered on top of the relationship I've already been cultivating with my own self love and acceptance and appreciation of what I've come to start calling my crown. And she's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm loving it.
I love it.
Um,
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, this is going to be a conversation that will just keep going, because I haven't decided to go gray yet. There's, it's happening, it's starting, but I am still working through it. What I've learned from a lot of the comments that I've received is that
Hmm.
not everybody has someone they can even talk about this. I've heard a
Hmm.
lot of judgment. I had colored my hair, and a lady I know quite well said, "Oh, that looks so much better. When people start to go gray, it looks so unkempt, and it makes them look old." And I was like, "Are you talking about me, or are you talking about you?" So it's just constant. People always got something they want to say,
Yeah.
and listening to an episode like this can be a safe place for you to start projecting your feelings into it. How do you feel about your hair? Where are
Hmm.
you at in that journey? I
Right.
think it could be really interesting.
Yeah, totally. That was a really fascinating one. And you also brought up a really interesting documentary, which I've been watching and loving. And it's a series documentary with Tracy Ellis Ross, where she does interview different people, including Oprah, and oh my goodness, there's so many wonderful women in that are talking about the Black experience of women with their hair, and
Yeah.
what's going on with it, and it is beautiful. So we do mention that, and you all should check that episode out too.
Yeah. It's so personal. It's so personal.
So personal. Yeah.
And so then in episode 8, we tackled something that for me was one of the earliest ideas that was really exciting to me. And that was J Lo's documentary called Halftime on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, go see it. For me personally, I will say it was the first person I could relate to
Mm.
who, has a platform and is using it well,
Hmm.
where she was talking about age and watching her be excited about the rest of her life. She was turning 50 during the filming of the movie, and she
Hmm.
was just talking about it in such a beautiful and powerful way. And I was like, yes, yes, that is what I need. I need more role models who are out there being themselves, being, taking good care of herself, being at the top of her game, and maybe even not even at the top.
That's
Like
right.
maybe there's even more for her to achieve. I cried. I think I was telling you, I just
You did
cried
tell
when I
me,
watched
yes.
it.
You were so excited. I remember you were like, we have to do J-Lo. We have to do J-Lo. We have to do a J-Lo episode. And I had watched it, and I did think it was a beautiful film. And she's so wonderful. And like, that really goes back to what we're trying to do here too, which is to celebrate and make turning 50 and make being in middle age this positive thing. Like, does it come with some complications? Sure. But so does every, age. And so to celebrate it and to just see someone, like you're saying, just like at the top of their game, if not still going up, was such a wonderful thing to do, because so often we just see, over the hill, you're done. And it was delightful. So yes, when we were talking about doing these, you're like, we gotta do JLo, we gotta do JLo. Yeah.
It was so fun. It was really fun. So I
And
hope
she's
that
her episode, her documentary, it's available on Netflix, and it's a fabulous watch. Everyone watch that if you haven't. And I don't think we really give spoilers, but it'll probably be more interesting if you watch it and then listen to the episode.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like our version of like chatting about it over brunch,
Yes, definitely,
right?
definitely. So yeah, I think there are probably a few spoilers in there.
There might be. There might be.
Yes.
Then we went
Yeah.
on to talking about feeling powerful in midlife.
Mm,
Oh, I mean, that for me, I think you and I are both saying that is a topic that people are very interested in.
mm-hmm.
Instead of this old cultural idea that a woman in midlife, who for whatever's going on with her hair, or her body, or her reproduction, um, that becomes invisible. right?
Yes.
But that what if instead that actually becomes our power? Or how do we tap into
Mm.
the power during that stage of life?
Because it is such a powerful stage of life. Like we are
You had a lot to
suddenly.
say about that.
Oh, I sure did. Exactly. Yeah. So that was really delightful too, because I got to draw on my training as a voice coach and talk about how we're communicating verbally, how we're communicating non-verbally, what we do to really communicate power, or what we do from our training as good girls to communicate with less power, having filler words, using upspeak, and doing these things that we're oftentimes not aware of, but that really take away from our true power at this age. So, yes, not feeling invisible, not being invisible with our voice and with our bodies, just like showing up fully is such a powerful thing to do. So yeah, that was really
Right.
fun, and we went over some things for you to think about doing, some things for you to be aware of not doing. So there was a checklist for you all. That one was a really, really fun episode for sure.
And it was such a joy and a delight because most people do not have access to a professional voice coach
Mm,
who would give this kind of advice, and to do it for free. And yet you were doing it for our audience, for women in midlife, for women who want to have more of access to that power. That was a real gift. And so I just also wanted to thank you for sharing with us so openly about it because like I said, most people wouldn't have access to that or even know it's a problem.
I mean, I love it. It's so interesting at every, stage I'm in. I feel really, really called to do that for our community. So it's helping me, right? To explore my own power and to really show up and be there for each other. So it's been delightful. And then in the next episode, which was episode 10, we got to kind of focus on you and your expertise around work life balance. Oh boy.
La, 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 la.
Oh boy.
No matter what stage of life you're at, it's always tricky. I think it's trickier at midlife because we're getting more comfortable, or the invitation is for us to get more comfortable with our energy levels.
Uh huh.
And what do we have to work with? What needs to get done? Why? And do I need to do it? And then how do we do that while sort of staying in the center of ourselves instead of getting overextended into what other people want? I think for me that's so much of what I want to bring to the conversation,
Oh,
and what we
yeah.
did bring to the conversation that people can go back and listen to in episode 10.
You absolutely did. And it really gave me and everyone else, I think, listening permission to go, oh, okay. It's okay that this is what I'm working with now, right? It's okay that this is my desire. I want to work smarter, not harder. I want to, find ways to maximize what I'm doing without overextending myself and just like throwing away that old playbook. And really, that to me, that's freedom to just go, oh, okay. I don't have to keep trying to recreate this thing that worked for me so many years earlier in my life. So, oh, thank you. That was a really, really like healing episode, I think.
I'm so
Really.
glad. Well, and it really goes really nicely with your topic of
Mm,
finding power in your voice. Because when you are a powerful being and you approach your work or your life, or of course for women it's all the same thing, but when
yeah.
you approach whatever task you're approaching it from a powerful place, you know how to communicate and say things with clarity and not, you know, trying to rip a hole in the next person, but to be able to communicate clearly and honestly and then have your boundaries around your work life balance. Boy, that is how a person or a woman in midlife especially becomes a powerhouse.
That's right. And that's right. I mean, we talk about these terms like queen and empire and stepping into your full power, and we do them with a little tongue in cheek, but there's some real truth to that, right? There's that real feeling of like, as we age, we want to be the wise women, we want to be considered powerful. Why do the men just get to grow into their kingdoms and their legacies, and then for some weird reason the older women are supposed to fade away and just be invisible? That is bull. We are getting wiser and more powerful just the same.
Just the same. And culturally, we don't have a lot of role models for it. So you and I are looking for them. We're elevating them, giving them a platform. We'll be doing a lot more interviews in season 2,
Yeah.
which will be really juicy. And we're doing it. We're done. We're done with the old story that women of a certain age become invisible and are useless and no longer needed. That's just not true.
No,
That's not true.
no, absolutely not. The world needs us too much.
It's true.
It is.
It's
It
true. We
really is
all have
true.
a part to play. And so we have to own our part, right? It's not given to us. We
Mhm.
have to stand in it and be clear about who we are and what we're here for. And
Mm.
then we're like the flowers and everyone else around us is like the bees, right?
Mm. Mhm. Isn't that a lovely feminine approach? The
Yeah,
queen bee.
that's right.
And we did one final episode, full length episode, which was really wonderful, which also ties into all of this apologies, how to apologize, how to receive an apology, and when to even actually really apologize. Is that coming from a true, sincere place, or are you feeling pressure to? Which
Right.
also totally ties into the same idea about really stepping into your power, because we know good girls are trained to apologize for existing. So you
Oh,
were really helpful again at breaking that down into some actionable steps and really trying to like slow down the knee-jerk reaction to apologizing and to evaluate what what is actually going on here. I thought that was such an interesting episode for that.
that one was juicy. And then it was so funny because both of us brought up situations with our children. And you and I are
Yes.
both raising young men, and they both were struggling with that too. And it was so funny that it was all happening at the same time, and that you and I had these tools that we could teach our children. So not only are we modeling it for them, but we're modeling it for ourselves and for the greater context. And we're holding on to more of ourselves. I feel like every time we apologize when we didn't do something wrong,
Yeah.
that we're giving away like chunks of ourselves. We're giving away chunks of our power.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also, I think it's also a really great test of the relationships around us,
Mm-hmm.
right? The people who never apologize,
Mm-hmm.
who even know they did wrong, but still won't really do it right. Is that a person you want to have in your life anymore? I feel, to me, it's a test of toxicity, or even narcissism.
Yes, it
When
is.
somebody absolutely, I'm never wrong, or you owe me. Okay, cool. All right, then you do that over there, and I'm going to do this over here. I think it's a really interesting test, to even step back and notice who apologize when they step on my toes, literally or metaphorically, and then how to clean it up. Because really, like what we said in the episode, it's a healing path.
Yes,
Apologizing is the start. It's only
that's
one
it.
step of a path in relationships and in a time where not only is, like you and I are in America, where the country is quite split and divided,
Yeah.
but now it's happening in families. That's
Mm.
how you know we're really breaking down as a culture. That families can't even hold it
Mm-hmm.
together into Thanksgiving, as you and I record this, and how many people are
Mm-hmm.
dreading that relative who won't shut up about this, that, or the other, and you're afraid to say
Mm-hmm.
anything, and they're afraid to say anything to you. We're in a very broken and busted place, and
Mm-hmm.
culturally.
Mm-hmm.
And so apologizing is one small way we can start to heal that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And boy, we could all take away that idea that it's a process, that it's not just a one and done thing. And I really do think that that could, like, just on a grander scale, like, help out people to heal so much. So, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, I'm just reviewing that. That was a lot. We went there. We went there with a lot of different topics. And one thing that I also just have to say was it was so fun because I just feel like we would crack each other up when things got, like really serious. It was nice to bring in a little humor and bring in a few laughs. Just having some fun and talking about ways we don't want to give a shit as much any longer, ways that we don't have time for certain shenanigans. So there's a lot of humor sprinkled in there throughout it all, just to keep it keep it manageable, right? Because we want to celebrate all of it, the hard stuff and the good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So here's to an amazing season one that we have 13 episodes, that really have this down. We're really on to something. We're having a ball. Here's to many more seasons and our the deepening of our friendship and bringing others along with us. I feel so blessed and delighted to be on this journey with. Thank you for being
Me
my
too.
girlfriend.
Me too, honey. And I love it. I love it so much. And if you want to be involved in this love fest, that is what it's all about. That's why we are here showing up like we are doing every week. Whether one of us is a little tired or has a sick kid at home or any of it. So please, think about just any way you can share this. If you have a girlfriend, if you know someone who you think would really benefit from these episodes, feel free to share them. It's free. It's meant for everybody and anyone who benefits from it. And that's the way to do it. That's what we're here for. All right, honey. It has been a delight, and I can't wait for season 2. New year 2023. Oh boy, we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, it's on.
It's
It's on.
on.
We'll see you there. We'll see you there. Bye,
Yay!
everybody.
See you soon, girlfriends. Thank you for tuning in today to Girlfriends of a Certain Age podcast.
Do you have a girlfriend who needs to hear this message? Share this episode with her. She will love you forever.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and comment wherever you get your podcasts.
Stay tuned for more episodes where we discuss more hot topics about girlfriends living their best lives. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and girlfriendsofacertainage.com.